The sable antelope is one of Africa's most highly prized trophies, and Africa is a bow hunter's paradise. It's almost unreal, the variety of animals in Mozambique, Portuguese East Africa. The whole country's alive with game. In the riverbed, this elephant counts heads, and the caravan resumes. Across the river, this bunch seems content. The fishing's good if you're a stork or a lazy croc in the sun. Hippos get fat on the endless supply of green grass. Antelope like these are what we came for. And the Cape buffalo. That first day of safari, I was up early, organizing my Mercury Marauder and assorted gear outside my rendezvous. I grabbed my jacket and some extra arrows. You never know what might happen out there. Picked up the little high standard 20 gauge in case I had an attack of bird shooting fever. The freshly raked compound of Camp Zinave was quiet as I waited for the rumble of Rui's Toyota. Rui Quadros is among the best of Africa's professional hunters. We've known each other for several years and have been looking forward to this hunt for a long time. I grabbed my Pearson Marauder and we were ready to go. Rui was really eager to go bow hunting. As a professional hunter, he was looking forward to the challenge. I've been waiting for today all my life. We picked up Rui's trackers, Sam and July, in their village just outside of camp. We rolled through the bush for my introduction to African bow hunting. Rui started me easy. He took me to one of his favorite spots. It was a place teeming with the common plains game, waterbuck, wildebeest, impala, oribi. I mean, there was a bunch. We started with some impalas. I quickly found out that impalas don't stand still. Next we got into a bunch of oribis. Oribis are smaller and they're quicker. They don't stand still either. Reed bucks are like our American whitetails in appearance. They made me feel a little bit more at home. But I missed again. By this time I was ready to cable a Ben Pearson plant for more arrows. Lots of arrows. A reed buck changed our luck. At 50 yards, this one forgot to duck until the arrow passed through him, and then it was too late. Sam and July got right to work on him. And suddenly Africa and my confidence brightened as we admired our golden prize. Early one morning we visited Juma to get a fix on where the Waterbuck were hanging out. Old Juma lives alone in the bush making palm wine and hunting with his bow, kind of a combination poacher bootlegger. We examined each other's gear. I imagine we'd both probably starve if we had to switch equipment. Their bows are quite long, about 6 feet. They only pull them about halfway. I'd guess they pull about 40 pounds. If they pulled them full draw, they'd break in half. The arrows have very little punch, but they use very large heads, and each head is supported with poison. Even a superficial wound is generally fatal. Juma might have thought my marauder coming apart was interesting, but I doubt very much if he could see any sense to it. I guess bow hunters are all alike. He had to shoot it even when he just knew it was going to break. Naturally, it didn't break. He didn't hit anything either. Guess Jim will stick with his straight bow and be happy. He told us of a large band of waterbuck hanging out on the plains several miles away. There was no trick to locate the band, and there was no question that several of the bulls were, as Rui put it, shootable. Rui laid out a stalking plan that would allow us to intercept the waterbucks as they headed for the trees to escape the midday heat. We took off through the high grass, figuring we had about a quarter mile to go to catch up with the herd. When we got within several hundred yards, I left Rui and took off by myself. The high grass was ideal for stalking. Unfortunately, I ran out of good cover and had to take a longer shot than I prefer. The waterbucks had me pegged, and it was shoot or forget it. Bingo! I waited for the gang to catch up. There wasn't any question in my mind that the hit was good. Even in the high grass, it didn't take very long for Sam and July to sort out the track. We followed the buck a couple of hundred yards and collected what really was a very shootable waterbuck. They're a magnificent animal about the size of our North American elk. We stopped for lunch in the stand of Baobab. You live off the land in safari. Our meals were primarily made up of game. Usually we'd pick a spot near a water hole or on a good dove flight line where we could replenish our bird supply. The chop box was always loaded with cold fowl or roasts, sandwiches, fruit, and a cool one to wash it down. We'd enjoy a leisurely break, and then we'd grab the high-standard shotguns for some wing shooting. Usually it was doves that gave us the best opportunity. Those little Mozambique doves are fast and tricky. But occasionally I got on them pretty good. That's called smoking one. Rui is internationally famous as a shotgunner. Between the two of us, we generally collected enough birds to keep camp going for a couple of days. On a midday jaunt, Rui and I stumbled into Warthog heaven. The tough critters, there was all sizes of them, were heading in every direction, taking off with their antennas up. Rui was quickly trying to figure out which one was the best. If ugly counts, they were all winners. Well, that is definitely not a chest shot. It picked up the femoral artery, however, and that's just as good any day. The warthog is all African. This fellow was an old-timer with heavy, well-worn tusks. Surprisingly, of all the game we ate in Africa, I thought warthog was the finest of all. Seems like you spend a lot of time stuck in Africa. Even in those amazing rugged land cruisers, there's always a bad place. A broken spring, lots of flats. There's no end to dents, ripped brake lines, shovels, and ruptures. A professional hunter has got to be an ingenious mechanic. We've found this out many times. It's a great time to go exploring, though, while Dr. Rui fixed a sick rig. Perfect times for collecting some grouse or guinea fowl for the pot, or maybe even one of these beautiful racket-tail rollers. But after a while, we get underway again. I spent a lot of time trying to collect a Nyala. I was beginning to think they had me jinxed. These white-maned antelope are among the most exotic creatures in all of Africa. I blew a lot of chances. Until late one afternoon, I crawled up on a bunch in a thicket, and I was in Nyalas up to my eyes. Several bulls were fighting for the attention of the ladies. And this old bull was in high gear when the mercury arrow passed through his shoulders. He swapped ends, switched gears, and headed for the heavy bush. After about an hour's wait, Sam and July tracked him easily. We had ended the Nyala jinx with a rare and beautiful trophy. Wire snares. I don't believe I've ever seen anything as appalling as the diabolical, unselective havoc wrought by the wire snares. The snare of the native hunter will undoubtedly mean the end for many of Africa's teeming herds, unless it can quickly be corrected. At least 60% of the snare's victims go unclaimed. Wasted meat, rotten game, bones bleaching in the sun. We were constantly reminded that the bush of Africa is laced with countless miles of untended wire, set by unknowing natives who don't even think of future needs. In this case, at least, the snared wildebeest went to good use in an isolated village where an old man, his wives and children, hadn't had any meat for a long, long time. They had survived for months on a hard seed, pounded into a tasteless meal. He was an interesting old fellow. I guess he was about 70 years old. Their bows are very slow with strings like ropes. He was more proficient with his bow than most of the natives we encountered. We had the ritual shooting contest, and then he had to try my bow. The sting of the fast Mercury Marauder string really got him. He answered our questions about the buffalo we'd been searching for, thanked us for the wildebeest, and wished us luck as we continued our search. We searched for buffalo daily. We went where they'd been. We went where they were going. Every place in between. Nothing. There's always something going on, though. We made little side trips and we ran across something on the license that looked good. Mostly it was Impalas. I was still trying to collect an Impala. Every time we'd see a good buck, off I'd go. My batting average on Impalas was about 0 for 20. I was long overdue for a hit. Still, you've got to keep trying. I bailed out of the Jeep for another stalk, slipping from palm to palm. When I finally got within 50 yards, it was time to shoot again. This one forgot to jump. He was probably retarded. The deadhead caught him right in the middle. Rui and I took the blood trail ourselves. And when we found him, Rui said, "Well, it's about time." He was right, but this Impala was worth waiting for. Sam and July were pleased with our tracking job. They were no doubt delighted that the Impala episode was finally closed. They were getting terribly tired of looking for my arrows. It was Sunday afternoon, party day at Sam and July's village, where their 5 wives and countless children were waiting. We brought the steaks. And they provided the palm wine and the music. Anybody have any doubts about where the twist, krug, and funky chicken got its beginning? Early the next morning, the first thing we spotted was Africa's sanitary corps, the vultures. Lions have made a kill, a wildebeest. They've skinned him as carefully as a surgeon. Between the lions and the vultures, hardly anything is left, and Rui estimates the kill is only 6 hours old. We pieced the scene of the action together. The lions have dragged him from the actual kill spot for about 20 yards before they fed. The track of a big male really turns us on. Rui felt that the big one might return and give us a crack at him, so we set about making a blind near the kill. Sam and July can make a large, roomy blind that would be comfortable to wade in. There's nothing worse than a cramped blind. Cutting up all those trees was tough work. Rui's discovery of a water vine made up for a no-canteen situation. It was pure water with a slight woody taste. There's no gin and tonic, but it'd do in a pinch. In the late afternoon, we were almost ready. I checked out the blind for maneuverability while Sam and July made a few finishing touches. Rui made sure his rifle was in a handy spot. We got ready for a long wait. We waited till dark, but the lions never returned. Next morning, we returned to main camp at Zinave. We were anxious to check on our trophies and see how the other hunters had been doing. These are my kudu horns, being boiled out for curing and drying on these grass mats. This giant hippo skull is a remnant from a past hunt. Their huge jaws have been known to bite men in half. It's easy to see why. And we headed out again, this time to check some new country to the south. Bingo, Cape Buffalo. When we found them, it was like a six-truck collision at a blind intersection. The herd was heading for the heavy bush, and we went right in after them. When you go into the bush after a sick buffalo, everything is all business. Buffalo shoot back. Each step was carefully calculated. Every bit of cover keenly searched. He could have circled, waiting on his back trail to take another poke at us. We felt that he was well hit, but Rui doesn't take any chances. We took our time. We looked close. We moved careful and swallowed our hearts and dry throats every time a leaf rustled. When we found him, he was down. Rui has seen thousands of buffalo, but he's always odd. The power, the size, the courage. The Cape buffalo demands respect. He certainly has mine. There will never be another day quite like this one. All the days in Africa are different.